Forward to get to the gap. With MagMongoSlade. Shoot. He don't miss.
Let's get into the Summerslam predictions. Then we'll get into SmackDown. This is 3 Count Commentaries. I am your host, MagMongoSlade. So first, SummerSlam 2024. It will take place at the Cleveland Browns Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, August 3rd. There's 7 matches on the card. And let's take a look at the ticket sales. So WrestleTix has it at 54,020 tickets distributed, almost 3,000 tickets remaining. So it's not a sellout, but it's still pretty good. If we take into account that some of these are probably going to be comps, it might be around 45, maybe 48,000. That shouldn't be too bad. You know, it's less than last year. Last year it was 51,000. So, if it rounds out to 48 or something like that after comps, that should be about comparable to what they did in Detroit the previous year. So, the show is steady in terms of ticket sales. So that means basically the brand of SummerSlam continues to draw, regardless of what you put on it. And they put some things on it. 7 matches on the card, like I said before. Let's get into it. All of them are singles matches. There's no tag matches. There's no 10-man tags. There's no triple threats. There's no... I want to talk about that for a second because I'm a huge fan of the single match. I'm also... I hate Fatal 4-Ways. I hate triple threat matches. But I do think there should have been a tag team match of some description on this show. You know, there's 2 matches with distinct stipulations. There's the Bloodline rules match, and then there's the special guest referee. But this is gonna be something, you know. But I'm okay with it being all singles matches. That's kind of like, you know, but an old show would still have had like a mixture, a 6-man tag here or a tag team match there, just to mix things up, you know. But I'm not going to complain because I get sick of triple threat matches and fatal 4-ways, and Triple H has been feeding us way too many of those. So let's get into this card. How about it? CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Special guest referee Seth freaking Rollins. All right. They did some kind of special event in which CM Punk claims he's going to unleash all kinds of violence here in Cleveland. And he also said that this feud is going to end at SummerSlam. I don't know if it ends here. It just with one match. We're gonna build for 8 months with one match. I don't know if they can get away with one. Maybe they'll get a second one out of this. Maybe that's just part of the story. Like he thinks it's only going to take one match, but it's going to take more than one. Because I certainly think that they need to at least get another one out of this. I'm looking at the... People have already brought up the Shawn Brett Undertaker. Everybody sees it. So it's clear that they may do a finish that breaks off Punk and Rollins. So it's likely Drew McIntyre wins with a little bit of help from Seth Rollins. And Rollins and Punk is going to be the feud for the fall, leading to Survivor Series and Bad Blood. And I think Bad Blood is already... that's probably going to end up being the Hell in a Cell match. So maybe they'll have Punk and Drew McIntyre Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood. And I think that they're going to call it Bad Blood, but it's going to just be a revamped Hell in a Cell. That's just my view. Because the first Hell in a Cell match took place at a Bad Blood show that was followed the SummerSlam where Shawn cost Undertaker his match. And they're not going to do McIntyre or Rollins Hell in a Cell. More likely to be Rollins Punk Hell in a Cell. And then since the show is in October, I believe, it'll be right before Punk made his re-debut at Survivor Series. So it'll be just a year shy of his return. So I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre winning, and Punk and Rollins having the feud going forward. If by chance they decide to have McIntyre win, I would imagine McIntyre would win because he's going back to the title picture. If Punk wins, he can go to the title picture too. So maybe Rollins costs McIntyre the match, and then Rollins and McIntyre do the Hell in a Cell match, and then Punk chases the championship. Okay, so maybe you could put Punk in the title picture, but does he really need that? And I think it's not really. If presumably if Gunther wins the title, Punk versus Gunther is a big money match, but not exactly a match that Punk should be losing, especially right now. And certainly Gunther shouldn't be losing, so I would avoid doing that. Maybe you could have Gunther and Rollins, because Rollins could take the L when it doesn't matter. Gunther's already beaten Drew McIntyre like a drum. But if the champion is Damian Priest, well, then you can have Punk and Damian Priest. You can have Rollins and Damian Priest. So I would imagine the winner of this match would go forward in the title picture, and the loser and the referee will end up in the Hell in a Cell match. So I'm going to guess that McIntyre is going to go over, and Punk and Rollins are going to be the feud in the fall. And then you'll probably have, unfortunately, Gunther and McIntyre, because they're going to be in Berlin, right? Later this year. So Gunther probably walks into there the champion, unless they have the gall to have Gunther go into Berlin as the contender. But I'm going to go with McIntyre winning. Singles match, Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. Well, Braun Breaker needs to win this match. Sami Zayn is not really. This doesn't really matter at this point. You don't want to have Braun lose again. So, gonna go with Braun. Unless Triple H has sniffed something and become DD, I think Braun wins this match. And it should be fairly quickly. I would go ahead and just have him steamroll Sami Zayn. I'm talking 2-3 minutes, just crush him. Just to get him out of the chute quick and get over that loss. It happens sometimes in mixed martial arts or in boxing. Like, when Lennox Lewis lost to Hasim Rahman. Like, some people forgot that happened because of how handily Lennox Lewis beat the shit out of him when they're in the rematch. Maybe that's what you do here. You have Braun Breaker crush Sami Zayn so thoroughly. Not to, just kick Sami Zayn out of the mid card or, down to the lower card, but you show everybody that this is what Braun Breaker can do when he's paying attention, when he's focused, when he's locked in. And it tells the story that he wasn't locked in before. And then even if he beats Sami Zayn in like 2 or 3 minutes, Sami has a bitch later on. You could either have him cheat or whatever. But then you could say they're 1-1 and Sami Zayn wants one more match. And then you could probably do something slick like a 2 out of 3 falls or something like that. So I want to go with Braun Breaker. Logan Paul versus LA Knight, singles match for the United States Championship. I do think it's time for Logan Paul to cough up this belt. I've enjoyed Logan Paul as United States Champion, but this has gone on long enough. The U.S. title has pretty much been in abeyance this entire time. He hasn't really done much of anything with it, except be very visible with it. And I can appreciate a guy being there to add something to the title, but you also need the belt to be defended. I know SmackDown it's the Cody show, but LA Knight is also super over, and he needs something. He really does need something. On SmackDown, they did a segment where LA Knight stole the Prime truck after he vandalized the banner for Logan Paul. So they're leading to LA Knight being over, going over. So I'm going to go ahead and say LA Knight needs to win this belt, even if he doesn't hold it very long, but he needs to hold it for a while. There's some guys there for him to wrestle. There's, Carmelo Hayes and Andrade and Apollo Crews and Santos Escobar, all the guys who were on SmackDown that, presumably never do much of anything anyway. And if you absolutely must put a title on Solo Sikoa, maybe at some point in the future, presumably he doesn't win the world title, you can put the U.S. belt on him. So, next. Bayley versus Nia Jax, singles match for the WWE Women's Championship. I think all signs lead to Bayley winning. I don't see Nia Jax winning for real. To me, it seemed like it doesn't make sense for Nia Jax to win. It also doesn't make sense for Bayley to win because there's no gas in either tank, really. You have Tiffany with the Money in the Bank, and it's a ready-made feud between her and Nia Jax due to their friendship. But also due to their friendship, there's something that you can actually stretch for the long term where they could be contenders for the tag team titles and all that kind of thing. So you don't need to break them up. You don't need to have Tiffany be duplicitous and turn on Nia right now. Besides, you need more time to let this thing develop, so it makes more sense and it's more engaging when she eventually does turn on Nia Jax. I don't see Nia Jax winning the title because the only opponent she could possibly have would be Bianca or Jade. Everybody else would just get squashed, which has been a running gag with Nia Jax this entire time. I could see it because they didn't have Bianca and Jade win the tag team championships back, that the goal would be to just put together the new faction of, the Unholy Union and Blair Davenport, which is more factions, I guess. I don't know what to do with this person. Put them with two other people I don't know anything to do with. So that seems to be Triple H's like, just throw them all together. They're all European white women. Throw them together. I don't know what to do. So hopefully this turns into those women getting TV time. But Nia Jax being the champion, her having two free contenders and Bianca and Jade, that could be useful. But I don't know if they want Jade losing right now. And I will flip my gigantic bookshelf if Nia Jax has to beat Bianca Belair. I would, God, again? I think she already beat her once this year. Come on, you be serious, man. But, it might be that they just keep Bianca and Jade as a tag team chasing the trio of Blair Davenport and the Unholy Union. But it could also be that they didn't win the titles because he needs them to be singles so that they can wrestle Nia Jax. Now, I don't suggest that. I don't think that'll be the case. I'm going to go with Bayley winning, mainly because they just put that faction together. And Blair Davenport needs a title. And so I'm not saying she should win it. I'm just saying that typically once factions have one championship, they typically try to have as many belts as they can. And so now that the Unholy Union have a tag team title, Blair Davenport's going to want a belt. And the only person with a belt is Bayley. So it seems like that's where the next run would be, is Blair Davenport versus Bayley in a series of matches. I would imagine that's but how much further can you go with Bayley, really? You could have Bayley beat all three of them, or at least two of the three in singles matches. But then what? I think the end goal, of course, is maybe Tiffany cashing in the Money in the Bank after Nia fails. And that could be an okay option, where Nia Jax crushes Bayley after the match, and then Tiffany Stratton cashes in her Money in the Bank, which is probably the most sensible thing to do. And instead of Nia and Tiffany being against each other, you could have Nia help Tiffany, and then maybe you could have Nia turn on Tiffany later. Tiffany as a babyface, it will work, it would certainly work. She's got everything going for her. It could definitely work. So I would probably do that. That would probably be my option, is I would have Nia Jax lose, be a poor sport, crush Bayley, leg drop, Samoan drop, annihilator. And then she calls for Tiffany Stratton to cash in the Money in the Bank. And then Tiffany Stratton cashes in the Money in the Bank, wins the title. And Nia Jax is there and Tiffany is there, and she's going to be her protector and have her back. And they're going to be best friends as Tiffany is the work rate champion of the women's division. And then eventually Nia Jax gets sick of her shit, tries to kill her, and that's the feud going later on. That's probably the best option because Bayley is donezo. It's over. And it's all Triple H because Bayley is very talented, but Triple H's booking has done her zero favors. Absolutely none. There was a comment on social media like, whose booking has gone downward since Triple H took over? Dana Brooke said, put Dana Brooke, which was hilarious. And people were just kind of shrugging about, I don't know, everybody's great. Like, nah. It ain't everybody. Bayley is one of those people, she's booked into oblivion. She might be the champion, she might have won the Royal Rumble, but she's getting less TV time than she's ever gotten before. She's probably less over than she's ever been before. Bayley has never been the champion and been less over. She's never been more accomplished, and people care less than right now. Bianca Belair is being booked into oblivion. There's a couple of people who are not as good under Triple H. So I would just go about it, continuing the story with Tiffany and Nia. Tiffany finally got the pink briefcase, which is what we were looking for. And it was a gift from Nia Jax, which makes it work. They're teasing a babyface turn already because now she's feuding with Chelsea Green, or she's having issues with Chelsea Green. And Chelsea Green is the female Miz, which, she wants to be. That could be fine. But it leans more towards you're supposed to like Tiffany in that situation because Chelsea was the antagonist. But Chelsea is probably a smart favorite in terms of her being an indie wrestler for a long time. And you may see people in certain markets lean more towards Chelsea should be the babyface. And plus, she's funny. She's cute. She's funny. But I will still go with Tiffany. All right. Tiffany cashing in on Bayley after Nia Jax loses. So I will go with Bayley wins the match, but Tiffany cashes in the Money in the Bank. The next match, Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think this match is rife for the official snap of the Judgment Day. I think Finn Balor screws this match up for Damian Priest and Gunther wins the title. I think most people are on, I'm not a betting man, but I would imagine if you were a betting man, you would bet on Gunther winning this match and winning this title. And nobody would disagree with you. There's no really good reason for Gunther not to have it outside of we're just going to save it for Bash in Berlin, which is how far away? I don't know how far away it is, but I would imagine just a couple of weeks. So I would put the belt on Gunther now and have him walk into Germany as a champion. But there's also a very rare opportunity to have, even though Austria isn't Germany, it's bordering Germany. It's essentially a hometown crowd. It's like when, Drew McIntyre was in Wales. I mean, it ain't, England. I'm sorry, Scotland. But it's also not England, but it's not Scotland, but it was close enough. In this situation, I don't want Gunther to have the loss and then go into Bash at Berlin and trying to get his, be made whole. I think you just have him go in as a champion, for God's sake. So, Damian Priest, he's got storyline stuff to do with Judgment Day. Have Finn Balor turn on him, kick him out the group on Monday, but screw him out of the title tonight. So I'll go with that. That's probably the most cut and dry thing that you could have here is Damian Priest losing the World Heavyweight title. This match should probably go on first. That's how obvious it is, if we're being honest. All right, singles match, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title, or the Raw Women's Championship, if you prefer. In a straight up singles match, there's no real reason for Liv Morgan to beat Rhea Ripley. But if they want to continue this story, Liv Morgan has to win. Because what do you do with the story if Rhea wins? The story is essentially over if Rhea wins, right? So, Liv has to win. Do you put somebody with Liv to help her? And that would be the other option. Is this where you have Dominic Mysterio finally turn on Rhea, help Liv win, and that helps break up the Judgment Day? And, you know, that could be interesting. Maybe you have Finn Balor help Liv Morgan win. That could also be interesting. It depends on whether you want Dominic Mysterio to have agency or do you want him to be a patsy. They like Dominic as a patsy. So it's a thing where maybe he inadvertently helps Liv Morgan win. Or maybe Dominic is led astray by Liv Morgan. He thinks Liv Morgan really likes him. And it turns out she doesn't like him at all. She really was screwing around with Finn Balor. And Finn Balor beats up Dominic or something like that. That seemed to be the most... That'll turn Dominic babyface, though. So, I don't know. People typically like the patsy when they're getting their asses kicked. They feel bad for them. You know, sympathy kicks in. And that's the role that Dominic has been playing. Is he's been playing the patsy. Now, Rhea doesn't need the belt. She really doesn't. You know, Liv has the belt. She can still use it. There's still some people out there for her to wrestle. There's Zelina Vega's. You know, I think she's already beaten Lyra Valkyria, if I remember correctly. But there's her. Kiana James, if they ever decide to use her. But if you could put somebody with Liv Morgan, that would be extremely helpful. But they don't have anybody. You know, all the other big girls in NXT, they're kind of green. You know, like there's nobody else for you to put with Liv Morgan that I can think of off the top of my head that would make sense to help her fight off Rhea Ripley. But Liv has to win this match in order to validate her title run and say the title run means something. Then she has to win this. Maybe they do something slick like Becky Lynch returns or something. But I'm going to go with Liv Morgan wins. And then this feud is going to continue. But it needs to be a drastic change. And I know, as I realized as I'm talking through this show, Triple H doesn't like to do huge angles at the shows. Not really. Returns, yes. But one or two huge angles, maybe. But these shows are usually very straightforward. There's a relatively clean winner, relatively clean loser. And I'm booking a lot of stuff where there's angles and twists and plot twists and all that kind of stuff. And Triple H ain't really trying to do that. So maybe they just have Liv Morgan cheat. Or they have Dominic be ineffective in helping Rhea. And Liv steals it. And then we keep up with more Judgment Day drama on Monday. All right. The final match, Solo Sikoa, Cody Rhodes, Bloodline Rules. This match ended up being Bloodline Rules because this is the match that Cody won the title in. And Solo Sikoa says that tribal chief that you beat was weak. I'm dangerous. Dangerous. All right. Cody Rhodes wins the match. Solo Sikoa is not ready to be world champion. It's not that it's not working. It's that everybody knows that he's trying to be something he's not, and we're just waiting for Roman. There's no belief in Solo Sikoa. So everybody knows this is just an angle. I don't know whether this match should go on first or it should close the show. If Roman's returning, it has to close the show. But if it's going to be a thing where Cody just beats Solo with maybe a little bit of help from Jey Uso and, you know, Sami Zayn or whatever, then put it on fifth. You know, I don't know, but Cody Rhodes clearly is going to win this match. And there's no good reason for Solo Sikoa to win. I mean, it just don't see what's the reasoning? There is none. So Cody Rhodes wins. Roman returns probably with Jimmy Uso to lay out the rest of the boys from the Bloodline. Not to help Cody, but to screw over Solo. Or if they don't want Roman to come back, Jimmy returning would be good enough. People will still be chanting, we want Roman, but you'll still be building it up. So maybe it's time to get the Usos back involved with this. So maybe that's what you do. Maybe you have Jey Uso help, and Jey gets beat up, and then Jimmy comes out there, and you backdoor the Uso reunion. Because now the Bloodline are the tag team champions. And what I mean by Bloodline, I mean Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. And they defeated DIY, which I was very happy about. And basically, Jacob Fatu has been in WWE for like 2 months, and he's already a champion. That goes to show that they're trying to, skyrocket him up the card. But at the same time, though, now that he's got a title, he can't lose those belts anytime soon. And him being a champion and not Solo Sikoa being a champion, it's like for him to be the leader and to not have anything, that would be weird. But he certainly cannot win the title. You can't have Cody lose to this guy. You just can't. It's not even that I dislike Solo Sikoa. It's just you can't put it on the cosplay tribal chief. It just doesn't make sense. So I like the Bloodline being the tag team champions. It elevates those belts. It elevates Jacob Fatu. He looked like a beast, absolutely crushing Johnny Gargano. I love that. It made my Spurs jingle and jangle. My God, yes. Who cares about Johnny Gargano? Not even Cleveland. Not even Cleveland. Thank God we're not Cleveland. All right, let's run down my list of matches again. I believe Drew McIntyre is going to beat CM Punk with a little bit of help from Seth Rollins. Braun Breaker, the Intercontinental Champion. LA Knight, the United States Champion. Cody Rhodes remains the WWE Champion. Liv Morgan remains the Women's World Champion. Bayley wins the WWE Women's Championship. And Gunther becomes the World Heavyweight Champion. I do think there's an outside chance that Tiffany Stratton cashes in the Money in the Bank on the Raw side of the bracket, which would be interesting and would get us out of this quagmire with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. But I think there's more story with her and Nia Jax. So I'll say an outside chance of Tiffany Stratton cashing in the Money in the Bank on Liv Morgan after Liv Morgan wins. Maybe, But I think there's a story to tell with Liv Morgan and whichever disaffected member of Judgment Day flips, whether it's Dominic or Finn Balor, and it'll probably be Finn. And I think there's more meat there than if you just hotshot the belt over to Tiffany. All right, so for SmackDown, Andrade El Idolo defeated Carmelo Hayes again with an O'Connor roll. Really good match. I mean, very impressed by these guys. They're just having regular mid-card matches, though. Like, I don't think these matches mean anything. Especially since the U.S. title was out of commission for such a long time. So this LA Knight has to win this belt, for God's sake. Santos Escobar defeated Apollo Crews with a little bit of help from the Legado del Fantasma. So that was that. And the rest of the show I sprinkled in through the predictions. So SmackDown, very ring heavy, which, this is what they do for go-home shows. Go-home shows used to be angle heavy, where you get one big sale for the show. Now it's like, let's just dump a bunch of matches that probably could have made SummerSlam, but we decided not to, so we just throw it on this show. I will say this. In terms of SummerSlam meal, it was downgraded from shawarma to something else. Usually a big four pay-per-view is like shawarma day, or like tacos or nachos or something. I want to downgrade SummerSlam because of the card. So I want to find something. It's going to be something tasty for sure. But it ain't going to be like nothing my favorite. It ain't going to be like a pot of chili for SummerSlam, which is something I usually would do for a big four pay-per-view. But let me know what you guys are going to be making for the show. Maybe you'll inspire me because I'm going to go to Kroger in the morning and make something that afternoon. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out and enjoy the show.